This video training is how to do or how to use HLS to do pixel-based animation. Animation means moving mouths and moving eyes. HLS has been doing animation for several years now, normally associated with I'll call it stick faces. Your metal faces where you use in cans or you use LEDs to light up various segments. People have been using pixels. I gave them the ability using segment-based pixels, but it was only single color. This one's going to allow you to do multiple colors and completely upgrades and enhances the capability within HLS to do animation using a pixel matrix. Pixel matrix can be your megatree if it's all out of pixels, or just a vertical matrix made by a square of pixels. We're going to do this one from the beginning to the end as opposed to jumping in the middle so you can see how everything is accomplished. Damn. Sorry about that. I hate Windows. Okay, so let's come along and we're going to do, first of all, time resolution. By default, it's set up for 50 milliseconds. If you want to do animation at 25 milliseconds, you need to select it now before we load audio. Once you load audio into a sequence, your time resolution can no longer be changed. I don't know. I like to use 50. So I'm verifying that my time resolution is set at 50. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do start a new sequence. I'll walk you through the steps. If you're using an MP3 file, HLS cannot open and work with a good number of MP3 files. MP3 files can be fairly complex. If HLS gives you an error trying to process an MP3 file, go to one of the online services, convert your MP3 to a wave. And as long as it's a simple wave without a lot of extraneous garbage in the wave file, HLS should be able to process it with no problems. So yes, we do. Now it's going to ask me for a folder. It will automatically create the folder. We're just going to call it animation. And now it says, is my song ready? Yes, it is. I'm going to select a WAV file. I always use Music Box Dancer down here as my test. HLS is analyzing the audio. It's come back. It's given me information about the audio. Just to let you know, HLS requires stereo at 44.1, and it's two 16-bit stereo. Okay, you try to put mono in, you try to put a different rate besides CD quality rate, and HLS is going to complain to you. So if you do any kind of audio conversions, make sure you're doing stereo and you're doing it at CD quality. HLS won't have a problem. So HLS has created the folder, created the sequence, created all of the folders associated with it, loaded our audio, analyzed it, and we see our audio across. But we don't have any channels yet. You add channels by going up in here into Manage Channels. But before we start, since this is simple, I am going to show you animation on a vertical matrix. Now, it could also be done on a megatree. Okay, a pixel-based megatree is nothing more than a vertical matrix where from a preview perspective or from your actual construction, you take all of the top ends and you group them into a point, into a cone. But if you were to open it up, it's nothing more than a vertical matrix. So for this demonstration purposes, I'm simply going to use a vertical matrix so you can see it. Also in HLS and for preview, a vertical matrix is in a single plane. It's in a flat plane, so you see it as a square. If we called it a megatree, it almost becomes 3D because it becomes, I wrap one into another, so it becomes a circular cone, where pixel 1 is at the 9 o'clock position. Quarter way through, you're at the 6 o'clock. Halfway through, you're at 9. And 3/4 of the way through, you're back at the 12 o'clock position. So it's kind of in a circular. Just make sure you understand that when we get into assigning pixels to your matrix. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to create a pixel plane, manage pixel plane channels. It says here I have no pixel plane, so I'm going to create a new one. If I had already created channels and I wanted to associate them with a pixel plane, this is the button I'd use. But this one is going to create my channels for me. My matrix for this demonstration is going to be a matrix of 15 strings and 15 pixels per string. That's not realistic, but I want to kind of make this small just to minimize the amount of work we need to do here. And we're going to call this AM pixel plane for animation matrix pixel plane. It's going to be the name of my pixel plane, and I've created it. Now, in HLS, there's a couple things that need to be done in a pixel plane. What I've done is I've created the channels, but I haven't told HLS the type of pixel plane. So you got to come back in and tell me what it is. Now, we're going to make it a vertical matrix as opposed to this. You got to tell me again the size. So you got to tell me again it's 15 by 15. Now we say okay. Now I have a vertical matrix pixel plane that is 15 strings running up and down, and there's 15 pixels in each string. String 1 is on the left-hand side. Pixel 1 of string 1 will be in the upper left corner. Now if we come up into Manage Channels, we go to Raw Channels, we see we have our pixel plane. If we click on it, we now have all of the channels. These are all RGB channels associated with our pixel plane. Since we're going to take this over to the preview, if you slide this over, preview needs to know information on how to group these into strings and pixels. Kind of like when you're transmitting, let's say an E131 or DMX, you've got a universe and a channel number. Same kind of thing. You've got a group and a preview. The best way to do it is to have your group and preview mimic your strings. So we know we have string 1, pixel 1, and it goes all the way down to string 1, pixel 15. So let's kind of keep that same arrangement for our display so we can assign pixels to our preview display very easy. So I'm just going to select all of the channels associated with that. Now I give you some wizards down here on how you can manipulate the numbers. The top one just reorders the group. The second one does the numbers. This one here says, hey, I'm going to do an automatic. It's a G/N. So I'm going to start at group 1. Each of my groups are going to be 15 numbers long, and then it's going to cycle the group. So if I click that, now you can see I've got string 15, pixel 15. It goes all the way up to string 1, pixel 1. So now my preview number association with group and numbers exactly matches my string. So it makes it real easy when I'm over there. And once we have that, let's go up and let's close up that pixel plane so we get rid of it. Now to do animation, you need a couple of more control channels. We need word. This is where our vocals are going to go. So we need a channel on our editor that's going to show our vocal words, and that's what a word channel is. From a word channel, HLS is going to convert those into phonemes, which is then going to convert those into mouth positions. So we need a mouth position channel. And if you were doing eyes for a face, you probably want 2 different eyes. Okay? We're only going to do 1 eye channel here. I also recommend you rename these, because if you notice when you add them, they strictly come up as word, mouth, and eye. You do it again, and you're going to have multiple channels of the same name, and then you're not going to be able to figure out which one. So we want to unfreeze the name for editing. Slide this over. Click on that, double click, and we're just going to say this is word 1. We're going to say this is mouth 1. And we're going to say, to come on, double click, go into edit mode. We're going to say this is I1. Now if I had 2 eyes, I'd probably make the next one I2. If I had multiple mouths, I may want to say I M1 for mouth 1, I, M2 for mouth I for mouth 2, meaning a different face. We're out of edit mode. Now we're going to go ahead and save that. So we've created our pixel plane channels. We've numbered them so we can now display them in a preview, which we will create. We've created control channels, one for the vocals, one for the mouth positions, and one for an eye. But we need to get them in here on the grid so we can work with them. Set channels and assign to display group. HLS allows you to combine any channels you want in any order you want to aid you in the assignment process. Since we're going to do animation, all we want is these first three channels. We're going to want the word, the mouth, and the eye. Now, if you notice, all of our pixels are here. If we wanted just the pixel plane, that channel would just be a pixel plane. So this one channel here would implement all of these on the grid. We need to give it, so we're going to call this one animation, since it's just containing our animation channels. Now, we've created a display group. You can have 500, 600 of different display groups, however you want to break it apart to make your job of sequencing easier. Remember, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So break up your sequence into multiple manageable groups, and you can work on it. Now, it says, which of these display groups do we want? Well, we only have one. We created one in animation, and that only contains our three channels here. So now we're in a position where we can start editing from animation purposes. We're going to come up here. It says number of faces. We're only going to do one face right now. So we're going to ask for one. If you're doing a quartet, let's say you got three, or I forget the number, but let's say you got a lead singer and you got three backup faces, then you'd probably want four. But for this demonstration, we're going to use one. Now we're going to get into vocal sheets quickly, but this allows you to name that face. So we're just going to call it face 1 demo. Now, I need to save this information. We'll be back into here when we add vocals, but we hit save. That now saves that face name. Now we come into animation, and we assign mouth positions to a face. Now, these are all of the face positions that Disney uses in all of their animations. This is usually the most complex array of faces. If you have used wire-based displays in the past, they typically allow you to use 4 or 5 mouth positions. And the way you acquire or accomplish that is to combine several of these into one, so that you can compress this from, I forget how many are here, but you compress them all into a few. So like here, you might want to combine AI and E, since those things look pretty close together. You may want to combine O and U, since those things look pretty close together. For our demonstration, we're going to only use 3. We're going to combine, AI is going to be AI, but we're going to make E also AI. We're going to make FV. And when I say we're going to make, what happens is when HLS analyzes a word, it breaks that word into these various mouth positions, or these phonemes. And, oh, what did I do here? I wanted that AI. Here I'm trying to talk. Can't walk and talk at the same time for some reason. There we go. So when HLS breaks apart a word and it says, hey, the mouth position should be that associated with MBP, you're telling HLS, hey, treat it the same way as you would treat AI. So all of these mouth positions are strictly going to come out as mouth position AI. Now we're going to make all of these come out as O's. And again, this is just for the purpose of this demonstration, because I don't want to have to deal with a bunch of different mouth positions. And we have rest. We're going to keep rest. So we've converted all of the possible phoneme mouth positions that are acquired by breaking apart words, and we're going to break them into 3 different mouth positions. Now, we have to assign some channels to those mouth positions. You notice the name of our face is up here. It's in red. It has to be in green. It won't go to green until we fill in vocals and mouth. Okay, so let's back up here a little bit. We need to add we have a face. We need to tell this face what channel is going to control the words or the vocals associated with the song. And we did it at word 1. It's going to ask us what channel is going to control our mouth positions. And we said that was mouth 1. Now that we have a vocal and mouth channel, we can turn this face on. Come on, how do I turn it on? Oh, I probably have to get these other ones assigned. Okay, sanity checks. I'm jumping the gun. Now, if you were using HLS to do animation in the past, you're going to notice these 4 are new down here. You would just click on AI and you would say, hey, these are the channels that are going to be turned on when an AI phoneme is acquired. These are the ones that are going to be turned on for O. And it's very simple when you're driving stick-based or LED or in-can driven animation. This demo is about matrix pixel. So we're going to turn here. When you click on this, this is going to turn green, which means I've just activated matrix. If you're going into a previously animated HLS sequence, think very carefully before you click on this, because this will erase all of this information that you have up here. It'll just erase it in a heartbeat. I will warn you before I do that, so I'll let you escape. But what I've just done is I've just told HLS I am now doing a pixel matrix to do animation. I got to come down here and I got to say, what's the size of the matrix for this mouth? Now remember, for our demonstration, we have a pixel plane matrix that's 15 by 15. But for the purpose of this mouth, we want it to be 7 by 7. Because we're going to do, we're going to put 7 by 7 for the mouth, and we'll do 7 by 7 for the eye. And we'll position each of those differently in the main matrix. So our mouth will be composed of a square that'll be 7 by 7. And now we're going to build. We're going to click on this, and it's going to say, hey, tell me those pixels associated with that 7 by 7 mouth position. Now, if we had already done this, my selection would already appear here. Since we're new, and there's nothing here, we need to go fit all channels. Now I've got all of the channels in my display. HLS is saying, hey, tell me that 7 by 7 matrix. We're going to put this at the bottom. So we're going to put it in the lower right corner of our matrix is where our mouth is going to be. And if we go 9 by 15, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7 pixels there. We're going to check that. We're going to say utilize that. That's 14. We're going to come up here to 14 now. And that's 9 by 15. Check. We're going to do number, what did I just do? I did 14. Now we do 13. 9 by 15. 13, we need 12. This is the tedious part. This is the most tedious part of it all. Now we do 11. And we do 9 by 15, I should say. I am doing 9 by 15 on all of these, am I not? Yep. And we want number 10. That's 11. 9 by 15. And we do the last one, which is going to be 9. 9 by 15. Okay. Now, we should have 7 strings with 7 pixels per string assigned. We can remove everything else. And now we've got 42. That doesn't sound right. 7 by 7 is 49. What am I missing here? 15. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So what did I miss? Sorry, I paused. My number sanity check didn't come out. We missed one. And if you look, I missed 13, string 13. I went to 12 to 14, so I missed string 13. So let's fill this thing with channels again. And it's kind of good because this will show you how I can do stuff. We're going to come down here, and we got to pick up string 13, 9 to 15. Do a check. Now we can get rid of them. And now we've got 49. Now, if you notice, though, the 13 here is on the bottom. We don't want that. What HLS wants, it wants this order to be in the exact sequence order, starting in the upper left corner, coming down each string from top to bottom. This is how you have to tell me the pixels. So even if you're doing zigzagging, then you're going to have to manually invert these to do some of the zigzagging. But HLS assumes that this channel, being the very top one, is the upper left corner, and this one down here is the lower right corner. Well, just coincidentally, we goofed this one up. Okay, if you notice, we've got these in the way. So let's come up here, and we need to insert this right here. So that's at 1204. So I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to come all the way down to 15. And I'm going to renumber these. If you notice, I'm at 12. I'm going to renumber these. Let's just say I'm going to renumber them to a big number, 2,000. And I'm going to say, OK. Oh, doggone it. I didn't want to hit OK. Sorry about that. Fat finger on my mistake. 13. Oh, did I fix it after all? What I wanted to do is I wanted to hit reorder over here, which would have put those. So the other thing I can do is just click on name, and now we have string 9, we have string 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so what it did is it reordered them by name, which is the way I wanted them. So they are reordered by name. They are in the proper sequence. Remember, this is the very first string. That's pixel 1 at the upper left corner. I go down each string, moving across from left to right, and this is the very last pixel. And we have assigned now 49 pixels in the lower right corner of our matrix that makes up our mouth. Now we need to say, okay, how do we do an AI? Well, let's do an O, because if you remember, an O was a circle. Right-click on this, and now you have a grid. This grid gives you a cell based, this one is 7 by 7, because that's how we said. If it's more, this cell would represent smaller. Now you're going to paint your matrix, okay? Let's say we need to get, let's see if we can, let's make a yellow guy, okay? Just for the hell of it. We want to do everything yellow. Should be orange, but I'm not going to play with getting orange. So we're going to do yellow. And we're going to make everything up here yellow. That's going to be the background. I could keep it black, but I want to show you how to do yellow because I'm going to show you how to use a background color to fix the rest of your face. So we're just going to make this matrix. Whatever you have in here is going to be projected on that matrix screen. Now, let's do red. And we're going to want to create a nice big circle here because that was an O we were doing. So there's kind of a circle there. And this, right click there, Need to do the color again. We're going to come down here. We're going to do yellow. And we're just going to fill this all in with yellow. I know somebody's going to turn around and say, Joe, that's a lot of mouse clicks. Why don't you just put a button that says autofill? And now that I'm doing this for this demonstration, that may be a very good idea. So I'll probably sneak that into one of my updates in the future. Because if you are doing this, you're going to want to do a backfill on this. So I will tell you, in one of my next updates, there'll be a button that says autofill any black with that number. Okay? Now, let's just say this one, we're going to do red because we're going to do some lips. And we're just going to make this guy get rid of him. Yep. And I don't know. Let's put some teeth in this guy, okay? Let's just put some few teeth. We're going to put a nice tooth here. We're going to put a nice tooth there. And let's put some blue for background, okay? So if you notice, all you're doing is we're just doing a kind of a block description of what. So I've got a red mouth smiling here, and I've got some teeth on the top. As a matter of fact, let's just close the top of this mouth so we now have a closed mouth. Okay? So we have a closed mouth. Let's just get, okay, we got 2 teeth and we got some red lips. That is our, let's see if I come back up here, I can right click and there is my mouth there. And if I right click here, here's my O. And now all we need is rest. Right click on rest. And again, we need to make this yellow. And I definitely need a button that says fill the matrix, because this is, till I did the demo, I didn't realize that this was going to be this tedious. So I will add a button. Matter of fact, I'll probably add the button when you get the software associated with this video, because this is crazy sitting here doing all this mouth clicking. And we're just going to do, for this, we're just going to do a single line across for the mouth. So we're just going to say the mouth is at rest in that position. Okay? So what we've done now is to kind of sum, we've created a mouth. We've said the mouth is going to occupy a 7 by 7 pixel square in our pixel plane, or in our matrix. And we've assigned, or we've associated a pattern associated with those. Our mouth is now done. We can come up here and we can click on the mouth, on the face, and if you notice, it's green. It has to be green before HLS will utilize this information. Green does a sanity check that says, hey, all of the information is valid for the use. So we're done. Now, we need to do an eye, okay? So manage eye channels. We're going to add an eye. We're going to make it, we got to do a, got to assign the channel, and now we can make it active. Let's do an eye closed, and back up, come down here. We need to tell it we're using a matrix. So now we're in green matrix. Now we're going to have to tell it, let's do a 7 by 7 again, but this time we're going to make it in the upper left corner. Refill the channels. Now we're going to do 1 through 7. There's 1. One through 7. There's 2. 1 through 7. There's 3. 1 through 7. 4. 5. You probably just love me counting in your ear here, don't you? and we do 7. Now we get rid of the rest. We should have 49, which we do. So now we have, and if we look, we're in the proper position. Now I've got 49 out of 49 set. Now we're going to do, in this one you don't have to right click, this one you left click. So yes, I did change the behavior between the mouth activation and the eye activation. So we're going to click on, we're just going to say eye closed. Again, boy, this is a pain. I really got to get this button in here. So I'm going to pause you here while I do this, the magic of audio, or of video. Okay, I'm back. See, that's almost as good as having a button. It's automatically done. Now we're going to do an eye. Oh, let's make green eyes, okay? Let's just take an eye here. We're going to make a nice green eye. We'll just do that. Let's do an eyebrow. And we're just going to use blue. I'm just using simple colors here, okay? And we're going to do an eyebrow. And that's going to be, now that is going to be wherever we say eye closed. Okay, so we're just going to have green is going to be a closed eye. And let's say an eye is full open. And again, we need to make it yellow. So again, the magic of video. I'm back. We've got them all yellow. Let's do our eyebrow again. And I think we came across like this. We'll just come across like this for our eyebrow. And now we want to, let's do a red eye. Kind of a big A monster. We're just going to do a really big eye here. Kind of like an evil eye. And we're going to let those guys white. There's my eye for demonstration purposes. Now in reality, you wouldn't be doing something 7 pixels by 7 pixels because that's awful doggone small. You might be doing something much bigger. But I've got 2 eyes. I've got eyes closed and I've got eyes full open. So we're done with our eyes. Okay, so we have all of our assignments in place. Let's go ahead now and we need to go to the vocal sheet because we want to start adding some mouth positions. Now normally, if this was a song, this is Music Box Dancer and there's little to zero vocals in it. So if you're using something like Monster Mash or whatever, what I would suggest you do is you go out to the web and you search for lyrics on that song. And some of the sites will allow you to copy and paste that lyrics. Just copy them and paste them here, where your vocals are. I'm just going to type in Merry Christmas. Those are the 2 words that we're going to use for our demonstration purposes here. When I process text, HLS will take each of the words. It'll parse them by the space. It will pronounce the word. It will analyze the phonemes, decide what mouth positions, and it will produce them. So we're going to do process. Please select the face. Oh, I gotta make it green. I gotta tell it what face we're going to associate these with. Okay, so it now has Merry Christmas and it's all set. So we can stop processing vocal words and we can say done. Now, normally what you would do, let's come up here and it says place animation effects. We're going to select yes, we want to do those with demo 1. Now it's broken up our words here. So we have each word. And it says here, Mary, remember, Mary actually may be, it has 3 phonemes and we've combined all those 3 phonemes so they're only showing up as these. What you would do is you would listen to the song and you can go to audio file and you can slow it down if you want. What you want to listen for is where the word Mary is said in the song. We're going to assume Mary So let's back up. What I do is I left click. Now in HLS, you don't go holding the mouse. You left click and that activates an edit screen. You now have no mouse is clicked. You just pull it over. And when you get to the end, you click again and it locks it in place. The assumption is that we listen closely, and this is the audio section where the vocal was saying the word Mary. We want to highlight Mary because that's what we want to place. We want to place Mary there. Once we've identified it, we hit the space bar. Got to come back over here. And we hit Mary. And HLS has now said, this is the time ticks that you said Mary was there. And if you notice in the mouth position, it automatically placed AI 0 in the phonemes. Now we listen again and we're going to say it says Merry space Christmas. So now if you notice it automatically jumps down, it's waiting for us to place Christmas. And we're going to go Christmas from here all the way over. Let's move the arrow key over all the way over to here. Is going to be Christmas. We hit the space bar and now we have Christmas. And we want to move this over a little bit. And we want to do rest. So I'm going to do from here to here. I'm going to do rest. And if you notice, you can always do rest at any time. So I'm done placing my words. So I've got my words set up. I've said between this vocal and this vocal, or this time tick and this time tick is where the word Christmas was being said. Here is where Mary is being said. And HLS has broken those up into the appropriate mouth positions to make that word Mary and make that word Christmas. Now, they're dropped down as single cells, so we got to spread them apart. In HLS, when you click on the left side of an effect, it moves it. Click again and it stops. When you click on the tail side, it makes the change. So what do you do when you have a single cell? Well, if I click on it, it's in move mode, which is what we want. Okay? Now I click on it. So how do you extend it? Well, you got to tell HLS on a single cell, hey, I don't want to move it. I want to change its length. You do that by holding the shift key down and clicking on it. And now you're in change size. So we're going to change that. So I click on the O, and I'm going to position it there. Shift, left click, and I'm going to butt it up there. And this one I'm going to do shift, left click, and I'm going to butt it up there. So what I've done very simplistically, and this is where the art of animation comes in, you probably need to look in a mirror and say the word Mary and be very pronouncing with your mouth and see the duration of each of these, because your job is to figure out the duration of each of these mouth positions. So we're just going to come down here. Again, I am just randomly placing these. We're just doing this for this purpose. Now I do shift, and I click it there. I do shift, then I left click, shift, left click, shift, left click, shift, left click. Now the last one we got to do is rest over here. And we're just going to make this all rest. Okay, so we now have assigned mouth positions. Let's do some eye positions. We do eye, and it says place my eye. Notice we have two eyes, so we're going to do eye closed. Oh, we got to activate. So you got to activate I1. Tell it that's what you want. Now we can do eye closed. So go back again. You had to click on the I1. If you had multiple eyes, you got to tell me which eye is active. You do that by clicking on the name. It turns a blue, means it's active. Now we can click on it and it turns a green, which means I am now dropping an eye closed. And I'm going to drop an eye closed here. I'm going to drop an eye open here. I'm going to drop an eye closed here. I'm going to drop an eye open. Again, I'm just doing this to give you, let's see, that's full open. We're going to do closed. So you're going to see the eye moving. That's all we're going to do. Let's scroll over a little bit. We're going to do full open here. And we're going to do eye closed. And I click on the end, move it over one, and we'll hit escape. Click, there we go. And I'm done. So I have now done complete pixel animation for the words Merry Christmas. I've assigned the positions where all the mouth positions are going to be, and I've added some eye movement. Let's save this, which I haven't been doing. I strongly suggest you save multiple times. That way, if you make a mistake, you can always go back to your last save. Heaven forbid I made a mistake and it crashes, you can always go back where you were. So now we want to look at this guy. Well, we need to do a preview to look at this. So let's do a display preview. Please, we're not going to do a display. Sorry about that. We don't have one yet. We need to preview. Let us edit a preview. Now I need to make a preview. I have a preview screen. I need to set the resolution of this preview. I'm going to set it at 800 by 600. You do not want a full screen preview, okay? And you have to have a background image. So I need to come up here and I need to grab my background image. And I'm going to use that one for my background image. Now that background, if I look at it, that is a very bright background. So I'm going to dim it way down. I can dim it down to -200. Now that's about as good as I'm going to get. So now I'm going to lock the resolution in the image. The first time you start designing a preview, you tell me the size of the window, you give me its background, and you tell me the intensity. Once it's locked down, you don't change it. So make sure you get all of that correct. Now, this will lock it down, no more changes, yes. So I've locked it down. Now I want to pick a preview. This test eyes, that was from my testing. We're going to start a new preview. And we're just going to call this animation. Okay. Now, I've created a new animation. Now, on yours, I'm in development, so come on. There we go. I hide my screen so I can get at my my debugger and everything. Yours should stay up on the screen. So now we want to do a matrix. So you highlight matrix. That says I am now going to draw a matrix. The way you draw is you left click and it starts a box. You do the size. Now you can do whatever size you want, but HLS is going to only use as much space to paint the size of the matrix you tell it it's going to paste. So if you notice, we're going to say it's going to be that big, but I guarantee it's not. Once you've identified the position of this box, you hit the space bar, and now it pops up and it says, okay, tell me about this matrix you're drawing. Well, if you recall, our pixel plane is 15 strings, 15 per string. The light strings are vertical up and down, and I want 3 empty pixels per string as a spacer. And we need to give this matrix a call. So we're going to call this vertical matrix for animation, VMA. And we do OK. Oh, we got to generate the matrix first. Okay, there we go. Now we generated the matrix. Now, what this generated matrix is this thing says, okay, I've got 15 strings. You got to tell me what goes into those 15 strings. So we click on 1, and it comes up and it says assign channels in reverse. We don't want to do that. That's if you're doing zigzagging, you can do that real easy. We click on this, and I want my first one to be string 1, pixel 1. So I say OK. I go OK. Now my string 2. All I need to tell HLS is the starting string. So this is going to be string 1. There's string 2. String 2. If you notice, it's group 2, channel 1. And we do here. Now we come down and we're going to do string 3, pixel 1. And we do OK. And I'm going to pause and do the rest. OK, I'm back. Again, more tedious work. Unfortunately, there's very little ways of automating this because you're assigning every channel to every light in the display. So if you notice, I have all of these, channel 15, they're all starting at pixel number 1. It's vertical, they're all coming down. We have now fully described this pixel. Let's save that. I always like to save before something breaks. Okay? And that's it. We've given a name. We have created, let's look at it here. Here's our pixel plane. It's a 15 by 15 pixel plane, vertical matrix. And this is where our mouth positions are going to end up being. So let's go ahead and get out. Sure you want to quit? Yes. Now, let us see what this stuff looks like. So we're going to go to, we have to assign a preview. Identify the preview control file. We want animation. So we have now, you can have multiple previews. Previews are just a way of displaying certain aspects of a sequence. And a preview is independent of the sequence. All it's associating with is those preview group and channel numbers. So you can use the same preview for multiple sequences. Now we want to display the preview. And yes, we want to do all the processing. It's popped up. Now what I want to do is we're going to run this at half speed. So it's going to run at half speed, but we want to do that so that you can see the mouth positions and everything, okay? Now when I do this, I'm going to lose focus and I'm going to have to pop back up. So here we go. And there you can see, there's our mouth positions moving, our eyes are flashing. We're at rest. And there we go. Let's do that again. Let's run that at quarter speed. Okay, we'll run it a little slower this time. Again, what you're looking at is as it's going through, HLS is now putting up the various eye positions and the mouth positions wherever we had it on the sequence. So if that was part of a mega tree or a larger one, you would actually be seeing the mouth and eye movements change. Now the one thing you may be saying right now is, well, okay, so we'll kill our preview right now, is let's save this. So we save everything. Like I say, I love multiple saves. That's nice, but you made the matrix yellow. My face is that. Well, let's say for a second that what you did was your 15 by 15 was actually a small subset of a megatree. Okay? So we have now an eye being displayed and a face being displayed in a 15 by 15 matrix, but we're going to say that's what we really want to be on our megatree. Well, I got yellow, which is supposed to be orange if it's a pumpkin is what we're assuming here. I could make it orange. I just didn't want to fiddly fart around with the colors. How do we make the whole matrix that color so everything fits? Well, that's called background. So we're going to come up here into Manage Channels. We're going to explode this into individual channels. And now there's a column called Background. We're going to acquire all of our pixel planes, and we're going to say we want to make these backgrounds. So if we look down here and it says Set RGB Flag, where's Set My Background? Set Selection Background. What I've just done is I've created a whole new another set of control channels, and I said this is my background now. So I now save that. Now we want to set this background, and let's see how far we want to go out. We're going to go out to about 7 seconds. in order to do this, we need to come up and we need to do a new display group. We're going to call this, we're just going to call it BG for background. And we want to select all of our channels in our pixel plane. We're going to check it. There we go. Now we're going to want to display that. So we need to do it. There we go. We want our BG. Now here is all of the channels. And if you notice, they're displaying all of your eye and light segments since that's all the data that's in there. Well, if you come up here to defaults, keyboard commands, it says Alt-N is background alone. So we can come now, we can do an Alt-N. Now I'm in background mode. Okay, if you notice, everything is gone because I'm in background only. So I'm going to go to the very top pixel and I'm going to slide her down. Using my arrow key, up, come on, all the way down to the end. And now I want to go all the way out here, hit the page, I want to go all the way out here to 7. And I click my mouse. Now I've selected every one of these cells. I'm going to come up here to, let's click on this red, and we're going to make this yellow. There we go. We click OK. Now all of these are yellow. I want all of these to be a level. Okay. So what I've done is I've assigned a background color to all of these channels. Since I'm only viewing background right now, everything is in a yellow. So if I look back up here in keyboard command and it says view background and foreground merge, which is an Alt B, I can do an Alt B. Now we have the merging of everything. But let's go up here. That's very complex. Let's go up. What display group? We want to go back to animation. Boom. Now we're back to animation. Now let's see a save. Let us see what we've done to our preview. We're going to rebuild everything. There we go. We'll just run it in full speed. Come on. Now if you notice, now the complete face is the yellow background. So now our eyes and our mouth are just part of a larger entity, which is animation. So I hope that gives you an idea of how to use HLS for pixel-based animation. I've taken you from the very beginning to the very end. It's a somewhat detailed process, but it has all of the power to give you all of the tools to make your animations the best possible. Have a nice day and enjoy.